He really knows his stuff. One thing he said that clicked for me, he was like, I don't want you to call it wholesaling. And I'm like, why? He was like, it's really all about sourcing your own deals, because he gave his reason and it was a personal reason. And I said, no, it's even deeper than that, because wholesalers are so educated now. They're way more educated than they were back then. If they can find their own deal, it's easy for them to find the money. 5 years ago, this is why it's hard to find deals anymore, because 5 years ago, when a wholesaler found their deal, they didn't know how to find the money to get the deal done for themselves. They were just looking to wholesale to stack their capital so that they can get into the investing game. But now wholesalers, there's so much information out here. Wholesalers know how to find deals for themselves. And so they're only punting the deals back out that suck. So you're going to have to source your own deals.
All right. Let's go. Yes. Can never play a part, y'all start. Nah. So real, it's all so live. It's better than success from the east to the west. Worldwide.
As of December 2024, if you are experiencing huge dips in your income, you may be entitled to compensation. Nah, I'm joking. But if you're experiencing huge dips in your income this year in 2024, you need to listen to this episode. Actually, you need to listen to this episode if you're experiencing one of three things. One, huge dips in your income. Two, if you're a real estate investor, and if you're a wholesaler or a real estate investor, especially specifically single families, and the numbers, like things aren't working out the way that they used to. Or number three, you're a brand new real estate investor or a new business owner, and you bought courses and you're like, this stuff is not as easy as the person that I bought the course, or when I decided that I was going to do this, it's not as easy as I thought. You need to listen to this episode. So on the last episode of the podcast, episode 170, I talked about how I told everyone on social media, like, I am not having fun. I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years. You already know this. I'm not having fun. Actually, almost coming up on 15 years. I'm not having fun in the business financially. And then when I tell you, within the first 24 to 48 hours, everyone replied to me or called me and said, I'm going through the same thing. And then even more people reached out as a result of that. That was a week ago, less than a week ago. Way more people. Two things let me know that this is way more widespread outside of the stuff that I shared with y'all last week. And you are likely experiencing a huge income dip in your business, or the numbers aren't numbering the way that you thought that it was going to as of this year. Two things. One, I have a mentor who is super smart and super successful. And I had a chat with them last week. And at the end of the chat, they were like, yeah, enjoy your family. Christmas is coming up. Da, 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 da. And I pray that you guys enjoy your family, because I had the worst year of my life in 2024. I mean, this is someone that I know knows business, and they also have a really great mindset. So that was just like, okay, I think this, hear me out. I really do think that we are experiencing a recession and the government is not talking about it. I don't want y'all to go on and tell everybody, yeah, we're in a recession or we're in a depression, because we won't need the news to get out, because then China's going to take us over, or Russia, or Brazil, or South Africa. I don't know. Okay. Or India. Who knows? We just need to keep this under wraps. Just like the government needs to keep it under wraps, we need to keep this under wraps. We know that it's happening. The other thing that I know that lets me know that it's likely happening to you, if it's not happening to you, you want to listen to this anyway, because it's going to affect you in some kind of way. But the other thing that let me know is there is someone in real estate that's in our community. I've known this person for a very long time, and they are probably the most connected real estate investor that I know all over the country. I hear stories about this person. Everyone knows I'm really close with this person. And I'll meet someone randomly and they be like, do you know this person? I'm like, let's call this person Michael. Do you know Michael? And I'm like, me and Michael are like this. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I met someone from Timbuktu and they know Michael. I mean, everybody knows Michael. And Michael has been making money in he's been in real estate for like, I don't know, 25 years. and he has made money, ups, downs, whatever. And Michael is currently going through it. So another one of my colleagues that knows Michael, we were talking about this. We're like, the economic indicator of Michael. If Michael is doing bad, because Michael knows what to do. If Michael is doing bad, because Michael usually places himself at the center of a lot of transactions. And so transactions are falling off left and right, right? Mainly on the buyer side, because I will talk about that in a minute. But Michael has no problem with getting access to deals. It just never falls, it never comes through because the buyers don't come through. We'll talk about why in a minute. And that's pretty much been the story. And we were like, we should have known when Michael started talking about things, and business ain't flowing the way it normally does. The economic indicator of Michael. If Michael's doing bad, then we need to know that this is a widespread problem. I cannot stress to y'all. I've talked to probably after the last podcast episode. I think it went out on Thursday of last week. As of right now, it's December 23rd, and now it's Monday. As of Thursday, I've talked to probably 30 more people, and they got a story about how 2024 was just disrespectful, which I'm going to give you a step by step on how we're going to get out of this. But I want to say this. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous episode. At the beginning of 2024, I don't know if y'all remember, Cat Williams did his interview with Shannon Sharp, the famous interview that went viral. And he said this at the beginning of the year, 2024 is going to be a year of truth. And that is the truth. Y'all already saw what happened in the media, everything. It is wild out here. And I think, in my opinion, what happened to a lot of good, well-intentioned business owners who are experiencing what they're experiencing, things aren't panning out the way that they used to pan out. The reason why this is a year of truth on a spiritual side is, I think, on a spiritual side, there was a lot of spiritual warfare going on. There's always a lot of spiritual warfare. But I think a lot of the good people are being spiritually attacked for two reasons. One, to prepare them for some greater things. And so there may have been things in your business, because in me fixing all the stuff in my business, I'm fixing things that I didn't even know that I needed to fix. I wish I had more time. I would go in depth. But I'm fixing things that I didn't even know that I needed to fix. I really didn't know I needed to fix. And so I think God is saying, hey, I need y'all prepared. Also, too, from a spiritual side, y'all got to think about what happened to us from 2020 to 2022. We went through COVID, right? And then after that, and even during COVID, a lot of money was pumped into the economy. And as a result, there were a lot of people making money very easily. Now, I've been in this game, information marketing services, for a very long time. Okay. And COVID did me well. I'm very grateful, but I've also did well outside of COVID. And when all that money got pumped in and people were doing well, it set this false sense of reality that exposed a lot of people internally. I'm not talking about, we're not bashing nobody here. I think it exposed some of the character weaknesses that some of us may have had. Let me explain what I mean. And I'm not talking about flashy people. I'm everything you're thinking, I'm not talking about. I just had a conversation with a really good colleague. I mean, this person is amazing. Let's call this person James. And James is very stressed out. And I was saying to James that when things started shifting and going in a very unfavorable way, right? So after COVID, after all this money was pumped into the economy, 2023 and 2024, there was a lot of intentional pullback done by the government, right? They needed to get inflation down, which meant, remember, Jerome Powell was like, listen, I understand that some families are going to suffer, but we have to get inflation down. And guess what? Families suffered. So there was a lot of financial tightening policy tightening going on. So as a result, things started pulling back. And once things started pulling back, it introduced a lot of fear. People started being very fearful. What happens when people start being being fearful is you start operating out of survival mode. When you're in survival mode, you become very self-centered. This is why fear is a very dangerous emotion. Survival mode is a very dangerous emotion. All right? You become very self-centered, not selfish. You become very self-centered because if you're in survival mode, I got to worry about me. And so what I have seen in myself and a lot of my colleagues is everybody became very self-centered. And when you are very self-centered, that is a difficult place to manifest from because you're in fear. So therefore you can't really get into gratitude. You can't really get into being a good steward, charity, helping people out, all those things. You're putting up a lot of spiritual blockers. And so collectively in 2024, I think there was just a reckoning like, okay, y'all, before y'all get, and again, I think this is a spiritual reckoning that God is doing for a lot of his people. I know some people that are doing well as well. And I'm not saying that those people are not good people, but I think some people you needed to be dialed back in because the fear took over. And so there's actually a scripture. I don't even know. We're going to talk about this today. There's a scripture I wanted to talk about. Yes, we're going to talk about treasures. And in the scripture, I was so blown away. There are a few scriptures that talk about treasures hidden in darkness. And when you think about what darkness is, darkness can be a time of confusion, and treasures, which in other places in the Bible, treasures are usually, God says a good type of treasure to have is wisdom and understanding. It specifically says wisdom and knowledge, but I believe that the translation should be understanding. We ain't gonna have time to go into that because there's difference between knowledge and understanding. Okay. Some of y'all are watching this and you're getting knowledge and you're like, okay, this is good, but you're not getting understanding. And knowledge is not terrible, right? And we can see we're in an age of information is knowledge, but like if you don't get understanding, if it doesn't take root in you, then it doesn't matter. And so if treasures can be hidden in darkness, and God is saying, hey, you can have any kind of treasure that you want, but the one that's really worth it is wisdom and understanding. That means wisdom and understanding can be hidden in darkness. It can be hidden in these dark places. So if you are not having fun in business, the wisdom and understanding of the darkness is necessary so that you can get to the real treasure, the wisdom and understanding. If the first opening lines of this podcast did not connect with you when I say, hey, if you are not doing well in your business, this podcast episode is for you, then if it didn't connect with you, then you're not going to be here. But you needed to go through that so you can understand that the answer to your problems is in the darkness. All right. So I was saying to this friend, to James, you are really stressed and you're experiencing probably more stress than you have needed to because you have been in a place of very, very much so self-centeredness. I'm not saying this to attack you. You're an amazing person. I know that's not who you are, but you felt the need to be forced to do this. And so, yeah, we're going to go through the 4 steps in order to get out of this. Okay. I have been in this space before. I done been in it, been out, been in it, been out, been in it, been out. This is the last time. I'm out. I'm gone. Okay. All right. So the first step, all 4 of these steps, they coincide with our God Goals and Money Income Accelerator. There are 4 phases in the God Goals and Money Income Accelerator. For those of you who don't know, the reason why my Income Accelerator is called the God Goals and Money Income Accelerator is because those are the 3 most talked about topics in the Bible. You're like, what is the Income Accelerator? I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. Let's just first talk about God Goals and Money. God goals, and money are the three most talked about topics in the Bible. I know, crazy, right? So when I say God, of course, God is the most talked about topic in the Bible. Goals, goals are covenants, promises, um, instructions. This is how God communicates with us. This is how we communicate with ourselves. Hey, how can I get to this goal? How can I achieve this? It's nothing but all of that. Uh, the gospel of Jesus, these are all goals, all different types of goals. And money is actually a very much so talked about topic in the Bible. And then the fourth phase of the income accelerator is time. It's all about manifesting miracles, expanding and compressing time frames, which is really all Jesus, his whole it was about a lot of things, but one of them is about, hey, you can expand and compress time frames if you understand some certain spiritual laws. All right. Not all of them, because a good part of understanding spiritual laws is understanding you ain't going to never understand everything about God. And there will be some things that you don't understand, and you have to be okay with that. I was watching some content, some spiritual content over the weekend, and honestly, this has been something that's been on my mind for a while, where I think a lot of the spiritual teachers online, they're after trying to figure God out. And that's the quickest way to get punched in the mouth. That's what Job, the very first, earliest recorded book of the Bible, Job is all about. Stop trying to figure me out. You can't figure me out. Sorry. You can't. Because if you know everything, then you don't need faith. And faith is like the most, is like an important component of actually achieving your goals or manifestation. The kingdom. I keep forgetting. One of the other definitions of goals is the kingdom. Kingdom is like the most talked about thing in the Bible. All right. I don't want to get too off topic. I'm going to just give you a couple of tips in each of these steps. I could probably spend a whole session talking about each of these steps. So the first step, if you know that you need to make some changes in your business, the first step is you need to re-engage with your goals. Okay. In the income accelerator, I go through the operators, right? So your mission, your vision, your why, your why am I having a total brain fart? I'm having a brain fart and I'm not going to edit this. Okay. your purpose, your mission, your vision, the vehicle, your assignment, your why, your passion, and the byproducts. It is so important to have all this aligned. You can start a business and not have all of this aligned, but what keeps you going, the ebbs and flows, down and up, is going back and figuring each of these out. Like, I got the goal, but I had the wrong vehicle. Oh, I got the right vehicle, but I have the wrong byproduct. Oh, I got the right vehicle, the right mission, but I don't have the right vision. And so you keep going back and reiterating and dust yourself off and try again, dust yourself off and try again. And if you just line all this stuff up in the beginning, then you'll be good. So that's not everything about re-establishing your goals, but that is like an important component of it. And I take you through everything in the accelerator with doing this. Let me also say this before we go to step 2. It is very possible to run a business, start a business, and fumble your way through it and get to success. Totally possible. But I have done this multiple times. Not only have I done this, but I've been in a very unique position to have interviewed 150 business owners on this podcast alone. Just on this podcast, because we're at episode 171 right now, and 150 of them were interviews. You can go back and check. All interviews done by me. Actually, a couple of them, maybe like less than 10 of them, were done by other people. And then I don't think any of them on here were done by other people. I don't remember. But anyways, also within the Better Than Success Real Estate League, my real estate community, we've had, I don't know, over 400 people come in and speak. So I've heard their stories on top of the fact that I've always done some form of coaching, one-on-one or group coaching, obviously all of our members, but not just that, like I have the CEO school, real estate CEO school, that this is the second cohort, and I spend a lot of time talking to people about this. So it's just not just my experience, it's all of y'all's experience that I've seen. And so I'm saying lining up these things from the onset will greatly cut down on your learning curve. But you got to be brave enough to do this, because some of this stuff is going to make you come face to face with your inadequacies. And when you come face to face with some of these things that you are not very good at, you have to not take on the identity of the thing that you're not good at. Like, oh, okay, I ain't good at that. Okay, I'm gonna fix that. Let me get knee deep in this. So you got to be brave enough to do it. And if you're brave enough to do it, you can get this business on and popping in a very short amount of time. I promise y'all. All right. Let's talk about phase 2, the God phase. This is the phase that you need to lay in that has got you here in the first place. And for those of you who are new business owners, entrepreneurship is the biggest test of who you are, of who you are. So if you think that you are perfect and you got this and it's going to be perfect, no, you're going to be faced with all the ugly sides of yourself. You're going to see it all. You're going to see the beautiful sides and you're going to see the ugly sides. And if you don't realize that this is about a relationship with yourself and a relationship with God as well, then you will have a very tough time. And so in this God phase, we work on breaking spiritual blockages. We work on understanding certain spiritual laws while also understanding that we don't have it all figured out, right? Because some people will be like, yeah, I got God figured out, and this is how it works, and this is how you manifest anything, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. No. Notice that any of my YouTube videos or anything where I talk about manifestation, I always say like, yeah, but it's always up to God. Because I don't, even when you start trying to act like you got God figured out, God, I don't know. I think that'd be angering God the most. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I would be angry if you'd be like, I got you figured out. Let me show you that you don't. Okay. So yes. Also, too, in this God phase, it's all about making sure that you are taking action from the right mindset. Two people, I keep telling y'all this, two people can do the same exact thing. If one person is taking action out of fear and panic, they will not get the same result as the same person, as another person taking action out of gratitude, patience, diligence, and some other fruits of the spirit. They will get two totally different results. And so this is where you see really smart people. I know you know smart people keep running their head up against the wall. And it might have happened to you like, dang, I know I'm smart. Why can't I figure this out? Because you're taking action from the wrong place. And so that's the next step, making sure that you're taking action from the right place. And then the next step is the money step. There are a couple of frameworks that are not, some stuff that I can absolutely take credit for, but stuff that are in famous books and little known books that can solve a lot of the money problems. It's really all business development stuff. And I've been doing business development for a very, very long time. Some things are great and they help out some people. Some things help out almost everybody. And I've taken the most powerful frameworks and put it and applied it to my businesses, right? Because I keep telling y'all, in spite of the fact that I'm not having fun, I still have residual income coming in. And so I'm really, really, really grateful for that. God is so good. Because I know there's people out here that don't have that. Oh, God is good. God is so good. And so I want you to have that as well so that you can be able to survive the times. And then the last phase is the time phase. Learning how to exercise your patience, but also learning how to speed up time frames and slow down time frames, because time is really a construct. I know you know what that, I know you've heard that a million times, but I want you to go and look in any story in the scriptures where Jesus does a miracle and it's all about expanding or compressing time frames. And he gives us good instructions on how to do that, right? We don't have enough time. So I want you to think about all of that. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go to the link down in the description or in description in this podcast, wherever it is, on YouTube, wherever you're watching. I want you to take my web class on the 4 phases to accelerate your income, automate your income, and get 100% clarity in your business, because I cannot stress to you that clarity is what's going to get you out of this. If you feel very in a fog or confused because it's like, I don't know what to do, or I'm not sure, if you're a new business owner or you got to get up out of this, I promise you, I'm telling y'all, clarity is 70% of it. Clarity is 70% of it for a number of reasons. We won't have enough time. We got to move on to the next topic. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is this particular insight that I'm embracing. And I've talked about it on this podcast, where if you are an investor, a real estate investor, you're going to need to pivot your strategy. If you're a business owner, you are going to need to pivot your strategy. And I'm going to explain this strategy. I explained it on the last episode, but I want to go in depth, because I think no matter what business you have, I want you to take the way that I'm looking at this, and I want you to take this and apply this to whatever business that you are in. Because doing the same thing over and over and over again is not going to get you a different result. And if you are, I'm telling you, if you're experiencing dips in your income, it is not you. It doesn't mean you need to work harder. Some of you may need to work harder. It means that things are shifting and you have to figure out how to ride the wave of the shift and follow the shift. So I want you to think about this. Again, single family investing in a lot of cities is not as lucrative as it used to be. There are some cities that it is, but it's not as lucrative as it used to be. If it's hard for you to find deals, if you're finding deals and the math is not math and the cash flow is not cash flow in the way that it used to, it's because everything is shifting. In the past, there were a couple of things that made it very lucrative to invest. Okay. If you're not in real estate, I want you to think about this. When you think about the things that align that made it very lucrative for you to invest or for you to do business, I want you to list them out. Like, hey, in 2021 or in 2018, I did really well. What were the conditions in which you did really, really well? In real estate, here they are. From 2017 to 2022, you had low interest rates, easy access to capital, right? And credit lines, checkbook lines of credit. Just because you had an eyelash, you got one eyelash, we'll give you a checkbook line of credit. Okay. Easy access to capital. There were wide profit margins for rehabbers. Wide profit margins for rehabbers affects everybody. It affects buy and hold investors. It affects wholesalers. That wide profit margin affects everybody. So if it's, you get it. Okay. Rapid appreciation, low inflation, moderate competition. Wasn't a whole bunch of competition. And reliable information. Okay. Information was just relatively reliable. Okay. All of these things lined up. It made it perfect. You could be completely slow. You can't use certain words and say stupid. I don't know. You could be completely marbles not marbling. Okay. And you will make money in real estate. That was great. Now you can still make money in real estate, single families. Absolutely. But all of those things aren't lined up. So it's going to be a little harder. Now, what I want you to think about, if you're not a real estate investor, is what are the conditions right now? What are the conditions that affect you in your business? And what shifts can you make to align with those conditions. I'll give you an example. So, like, let's say, for instance, you are in the business of selling, you're a retail clothing, you got like an online boutique or you got a physical boutique. And before, it was jumping. And all for all the reasons you listed out, all the reasons. This is why I was doing really, really well a couple years ago or however long ago. You may now look at those conditions in the marketplace right now and say, okay, now I'm looking at these conditions and you see, hey, it's a lot of competition for online clothing. Mm, maybe I can be a wholesaler. That's crazy. That changes the game for you. Because if you're a wholesaler or importer exporter, if you're a wholesaler, it's so much competition, you got a lot of customers. Now you're not getting out of the business, you're just shifting. So that's how I want you to think about it. Now, as it compares to real estate, same thing that I talked about in the last episode. The current market conditions make it so that here are the things that will make it so that it's very dummy proof to fail. One, investing in apartment buildings, because the single family people cannot buy single families to live in anymore. Apartment buildings is where it's at. It just is. This is where the huge tectonic plates are going to be moving. Like, it's going to be shifting here. People who get in this window, they're going to win. The next one is sourcing. If you're going to stay in single families, totally fine. You got to source your own deals. Source your own deals. I mentioned before becoming a wholesaler, but actually, this is a great segue. So I mentioned that we're restructuring the our events for Better Than Success to feed these new places that people are going to be making money, that people are making money in. And I'm really excited about our new calendar, but it's not a but. I'm just excited about our new calendar. And one of the things that we're going to be doing on Wednesdays, our Mastermind series is back, but it's going to be specifically focused on, we'll call it deal makers. And why do I keep forgetting what it's called? This is crazy. Okay, now I remember. It's called Deal Makers and Fundraisers BTS series. Deal Makers and Fundraisers BTS Mastermind series. I'm sorry, I won't forget again. Deal Makers and Fundraisers BTS Mastermind series. So we're going to alternate between focusing on education every other Wednesday, between raising private capital and doing wholesale deals. That's what I mentioned before. But what y'all don't know, this is the big announcement. I have brought on someone who is very successful at wholesaling to facilitate the Wednesdays. If y'all don't know him, it's Dom Summers. He's amazing. He probably like, why are you saying my name? But members need to know. And you've been on BTS, okay? He really knows his stuff. And one thing he said to me that clicked for me, he was like, I don't want you to call it wholesaling. And I'm like, why? He was like, it's really all about sourcing your own deals, because he gave his reason, and it was a personal reason. I'm not going to go. He was just like, hey, this works out. It's sourcing your own deals. And I said, no, it's even deeper than that, because wholesalers are so educated now. They're way more educated than they were back then. If they can find their own deal, it's easy for them to find the money. 5 years ago, this is why it's hard to find deals anymore, because 5 years ago, when a wholesaler found their deal, they didn't know how to find the money to get the deal done for themselves. They were just looking to wholesale to stack their capital so that they can get into the investing game. But now wholesalers, there's so much information out here. Wholesalers know how to find deals for themselves. And so they're only punting the deals back out that suck. I know. They all know how to do it. Crazy. So, and the other thing, in a lot of cities now, it's almost illegal to wholesale, or you got to get a wholesaler's license, or now you got to darn near become an agent. And so they're doing away with this idea of wholesaling. On top of the fact that y'all know some ridiculous number of single families are owned by by funds. So you're competing against funds who can buy at a higher number because they got economies of scale. Their money's cheaper, their labor and material is cheaper, so they can buy at a higher number. And so now it's just a price, it's just a race to the bottom. Who can get their margins thinner? And it's not you. You can't get your margins thin. So you have to find, you're going to have to source your own deals. Send this to somebody who you know that's a real estate investor and just say, hey, I promise it gets good at the whatever mark. Fast forward to the whatever mark. Okay. You're going to have to source your own deals. I'm sorry. And let's remove all the things I said about wholesales, but right now you have to source your own deals because interest rates are still high and profit margins are slim until it starts widening back up, which I don't know when that's going to be. I told y'all that the window for opportunity, the barrier to entry into real estate was really low for a little bit of time. I told you it's not going to be like this forever. And so that doesn't mean you can't get in. It's just the barrier is a little higher. Now you got to source your own deals. And so every other Wednesday, we're going to do capital raising, and then we're going to go through sourcing your deals. If you're a BTS member, once one of those two wholesaling, quote unquote, wholesaling session, or like my mom, this is how she does air quotes. Sorry if you're listening, you got to go and look at the video. She does it with her whole hand, and she kind of twists it in. Actually, I'm going to put a video of her doing this right on this. So anyways, I got a video in my phone. One Wednesday we're going to do a teaching, and then the other Wednesday is just going to be all, you want to listen in on some cold calling and warm calling. It's just going to be all calls. Does this mean that you have to be cold calling? No. We got a couple members who have systems set up where their VAs are doing it. I know. This is what I'm here for. I'm just here to put y'all on game before everybody get put on game. Because guess what? All this stuff we teaching right now, if you're doing it right now, then in 2-3 years, everybody's going to be doing it. It's going to be dried up, and we're going to be on to the next. That's another thing that you didn't do that got you here is you didn't listen to your intuition. I know that's for me. And I know it's for a lot of other people that I talk to. You didn't listen to your intuition. Your intuition told you to shift. All right. Okay. So I gave y'all a very top level explanation of this. On January 8th, I'm going to be going in detail with the numbers, the data to support all of this for all of our members, just our members, on January 8th. And I can't wait to visually show y'all what I'm seeing and what I know and how the strategy is going to play out. Okay. And how to go from doing no deals to very quickly doing large apartment buildings or large deals, or scaling up to sourcing your own deals very quickly. I got a crazy strategy that I can't wait to put y'all on. If I would have known this, I would have did it a long time ago. But on January 8th, we're going to go through that. So yeah, if you are not a BTS member, I'm closing the doors to new members of BTS because I keep telling y'all I'm focusing on my fund, my real estate fund. For those of y'all don't know, me and a couple members, we have a $15 million real estate fund. I'm so excited about it. We are investing in apartment buildings. We have a very unique buying strategy. I don't know if we can share it just yet publicly, this strategy that we're doing. Ran it by some very smart people. And they was like, I could tell they want to steal it, but they can't. So if you want to join BTS, if you want to invest in a fund, we can talk about that later. But if you want to join BTS, go to joinbts.com and you can join. The doors to new members are going to close very, very soon if you want to get in on this. Plus, also, in addition to the Wednesdays, Mondays, we have accountability call. Every Tuesday, we do deal analysis lab and tutoring. We actually go through analyzing one multifamily, a large apartment building, and one to 4 unit, a single family. In my mind, single family is 1 to 4 unit. So we do that every Tuesday. Then Wednesdays, we have our masterminds, and there's literally a whole bunch of content in the back office. Plus, you have an AI mentor that you take a quick questionnaire, 15-question questionnaire. The AI mentor will then spit you back your investing archetype and put you in a customized lesson plan that is based on your archetype, and it'll give you a different lesson every week. They give it to you all up front, and then you can just go through it at your own pace. Um, Plus, we meet in person for our multifamily meetup. The next one is January 30th. I am probably going to come home for that. They've been having a great time for the multifamily meetups. They've been doing them without me, but I'm probably going to come home for that. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to, because I got to go to Vegas for a multifamily event. So there is that. All right, go to Join BTS if you want to learn more. Last but not least thing that I want to talk about is, I don't know, I feel like, let me see how long this episode is. 42 minutes, bro. These things are only supposed to be 20 minutes. I already know this. I do want to talk about this Bible verse that I'm currently decoding. I'm just going to read off what I put in my newsletter. For those of y'all who don't know, I do a newsletter every week where I go through 5 things that is really impactful to me based on the stuff that I put in my journals. I have a 4-journal system for managing my life. And I teach it in the God Goals of Money Income Accelerator. And these are just a few of the things that I put in the journal. And one of them is I've just been studying this idea about treasure. So let me explain to you this thing about treasure that made me think about this. There's a story, Luke 18 to 22, where Jesus tells a rich man to sell everything and follow him. The rich man says, "Hey, Rabbi, what would you suggest that I do to enter into kingdom?" And Jesus is like, "Do everything that the law says, the Mosaic laws, do it." And he's like, "I've done these things. I'm a great person." And the dude was like, "Oh, you rich." And this is what Jesus said, not dude. Jesus says, "Oh, you rich. Sell everything that you own and follow me." And most people think that it means that Jesus is telling us that we can't have money or we can't have possessions. He said, "Sell everything you own and give it to the poor and then follow me." And that's not what it's saying. Okay. Because after that, he says, Jesus says something like, here we go. "And thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me." And so as I'm reading this, I'm like, I keep reading it like, what is Jesus saying? I know he's not telling us that we can't have money. And I was like, it's in this word treasure. We misinterpret what treasure means. So then I started doing this deep dive research on scriptures about treasure. And I'm like, fam, why nobody ever talk about this? Okay. So it blew my mind. So Matthew 16:21 and Luke 12:34, Jesus says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And people think that this means where I don't know, it's equated to money. And that's not what it means. What it's saying is where you put your heart, that is where your treasure is. That's what you consider treasure. So think about a treasure like a treasure chest, right? And so the pirates, they hid their treasure and they really valued it. Where is your heart? And for that particular man, Jesus was trying to tell him that your heart is in your money. And that's what so many of us do. That's where your heart is. And then if you go and look, if you're like, okay, now see what he's saying. He's saying, don't put your heart in your money. It's okay to have money, but don't put your heart in it, which aligns up with the scripture. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Okay, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Okay, so then I started looking at scriptures about, just more scriptures about treasure. And there are so many scripture, especially in the Old Testament, where it is instructed to us to put our treasure in wisdom and understanding. That's treasure, because Jesus also says, don't put your treasure, or don't store up treasure for yourself in this earthly realm where moth and rust destroy. Put your treasure in heavenly things where moth and rust cannot destroy. Heavenly things. Heaven is a state of mind. What are heavenly things that you can put in a state of mind? Wisdom and understanding to help with your state of mind. Mind blown. So if you treasure wisdom and understanding, not just knowledge, wisdom and understanding, moth and rust cannot destroy. Because if you treasure things here on earth, what happens, and this has happened to me, treasuring a physical thing. I'll give you an example. I love shoes. I've mentioned this to y'all multiple times. I adore shoes. And so shoes, I realized like I don't even wear most of this stuff. It's like a treasure. Like, oh, my little treasure. And guess what? I got so disgusted with myself a couple weeks ago. Just so disgusted when I realized this off the heels of this scripture. I started pulling all my stuff down, and it's two high-end consignment shops near me. They're directly across the street from each other. And I just sold everything. I was just so disgusted. Like, Nicole, this is where your treasure is. This is so weird. And I bet you got a treasure too. That's weird. So I realized that my treasure was in my properties as well. I'm holding on to these properties and they're not doing anything for me. I needed to level up. That's partially why I'm selling them. I'm holding on to these treasures for what? So, and the reason then come back to the rust and moth to destroy. When I went to sell the shoes, got wear and tear on them, values drop. I got a fraction of the price, a fraction. I mean, and these are all designer stuff. The same thing for properties. If your treasure is in the properties, guess what can happen? Wear and tear. Wear and tear. And so like, this is now affecting you because you love this so much. The same thing with money. Inflation. The value of your money goes down. But that doesn't happen with wisdom and understanding. If you put your heart in that's where your treasure is. I know. Game on game on game on game on game. And I want to say this one last line. After Jesus told that rich man to go and sell everything he owned and give it to the poor and follow him. After the rich man just got done saying, I'm trying to get into heaven and I do all the good things. Jesus said, all right, sell all your stuff. And the man said, when the man heard this, he was very sorrowful for he was very rich. He said, no, I'm not selling my stuff. I'm sorry. I'm sad. Because his heart was in his things. Jesus knew where his heart was. Game on game on game. Okay. I feel like I'm leaving out something about that passage, but yeah, if you want to get added to the list, I don't have an opt-in page. You know what? I'm gonna create an opt-in page before the end of this. The opt-in page for to get on the list for the journal gems will be down below, and I'm gonna create it right now. It'll be down below in the description for this. And don't forget, sign up go into the new year with clarity and get some automation in your business. They're in the Goggles and Money Income Accelerator. It is a self-paced accelerator. You could do it in probably about 2 months. This is serious. This is a complete overhaul of your business. We go through all 4 phases. There are about 45 modules and 20 workbooks. I handhold you through this whole thing. If you're all the way up to this end of this episode, you need to do this. If you really fool with me that much, you need to do this. And if you want to join BTS, you want to get on this ride, it's very cheap for the stuff that we cover. And you get access to me, you get access to Dom, you get access to Art, you get access to all of our members who are killing it in the game. And I love y'all. I want you to have a great day. Bye.
Let's go. Yes. Can never play a part, y'all start. Nah. So real, it's all so live. It's better than success from the east to the west. Worldwide, it's all so live. Yes. Knowledge seeming vast, politicking over cash. This podcast is all so live. It's better than success from the east to the west. It's worldwide, it's all so live. We roll it down. BTS Connect, stay busy. You know now, only less enlightened like who is she? It's Nikki. Pay your mind bound to drop a gem on you. What you hear it now, puts it down like the signature. Run and hit it, yeah. A business mind frame exhibitor. Ain't no pitting ya. Against the modern style literature. Beyond expenditure. I give you something that'll stick with you forever. Better than success, nothing better. You know the flame. You never play a part, y'all star. Nah. So real and all so live. Yeah. It's better than success from the east to the west. It's worldwide and also live. Yeah, now. Knowledge seeming vast, politicking over cash. This podcast is also live. It's better than success from the east to the west. It's worldwide and also live. So now what you gon' do? It's so real, it's also live. It's better than success from the east to the west. Worldwide and also live. Feel that? Yeah. It's better than success. It's all Scott. Yeah. Let's go.